Greetings, my name is Cody, and today I'll be presenting on the legal policies and their impacts on IT systems and information security. In modern cybersecurity, organizations cannot rely on technical controls alone. Legal requirements, regulatory frameworks, and internal policies all play a critical role in shaping how systems are designed, secured, and operated. Security is not purely technical. It is deeply influenced by governance and legal frameworks. Policies act as the bridge between high-level legal requirements and day-to-day technical implementation. For example, a law like the GDPR may require data protection, but it is the organization's policies that translate that requirement into controls like encryption, access restrictions, and audit logging. Policies also define accountability, ensuring that individuals such as system owners and data custodians are responsible for enforcing security measures. Without clearly defined policies, organizations risk inconsistent security practices, gaps in protection, and non-compliance with legal obligations. Security governance ensures that cybersecurity efforts align with organizational objectives and risk tolerance. It establishes a formal structure that defines roles and responsibilities, decision-making authority, and oversight mechanisms. Key roles include data owners, who determine classification and protection, as well as system owners who ensure systems are secured appropriately. Governance also introduces the concepts of due care and due diligence. Due care means implementing reasonable safeguards, while due diligence means continuously monitoring and improving the safeguards. If an organization fails in either area, it can be held legally liable after a breach. Strong governance ensures that security is proactive, measurable, and aligned with business strategy. There are three major types of law that influence cybersecurity practices. First, criminal law, which focuses on prosecuting cybercrime such as hacking, identity theft, and unauthorized access. Second is civil law, which deals with disputes between parties. For example, if a company fails to protect customer data, it may face lawsuits or financial penalties. The third is administrative law, which consists of regulations created by government agencies. These regulations often define compliance requirements for specific industries. Each type of law affects how organizations design their security controls. Criminal law deters attackers, civil law holds organizations accountable, and administrative law enforces standards that organizations must follow. There are several key laws that shape cybersecurity practices both domestically in the United States and abroad around the world. In the United States, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act criminalizes unauthorized access to computer systems. The Electronic Communications Privacy Act protects the privacy of electronic communications. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act and the Economic Espionage Act protect intellectual property and trade secrets. And in healthcare, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, enforces strict controls over patient data, confidentiality, and integrity. Globally, regulations like the General Data Protection Regulation Act in the European Union and the Personal Information Protection and Electronics Documentation Act, or PIPEDA, in Canada introduce strict data protection requirements and heavy penalties for non-compliance. These laws directly influence how organizations design systems and enforce access controls and manage sensitive data across different jurisdictions. Privacy and compliance requirements significantly increase the complexity of cybersecurity. Organizations must ensure that personal data is collected legally, stored securely, and processed responsibly. Many regulations require breach notification, meaning organizations must report incidents within strict timeframes, such as the 72-hour limit under the GDPR. Cross-border data transfers introduce additional challenges because data may be subject to multiple legal jurisdictions simultaneously. This forces organizations to adopt standardized security practices and maintain detailed documentation to demonstrate effective compliance. Failure to comply can result in severe penalties, including financial fines and the loss of consumer trust. A structured security policy framework is essential for translating legal requirements into actionable controls. At the top level, policies define the organization's security goals and expectations. Standards provide mandatory requirements such as encryption protocols or password policies. Procedures outline the exact steps for implementing those standards. Guidelines offer flexible recommendations based on best practices. This layered approach ensures consistency while allowing adaptability. It also enables organizations to enforce security controls in a way that aligns with both legal requirements and operational needs. Security policies have direct and measurable impacts on IT systems. They define how systems are configured, accessed, and monitored. For example, authentication policies enforce multi-factor authentication methods. Patch management policies require regular updates to software and company-owned devices. Logging policies ensure that activity is being tracked and is auditable by administrators. And data handling policies dictate how sensitive data is stored and transmitted. These policies transform abstract legal requirements into concrete technical controls. Without enforcement at the system level, policies would have little practical impact. Governance, risk management, and compliance all form the foundation of enterprise security. Governance defines the structure, role, and direction with regards to the enterprise's overall security framework. Risk management identifies and prioritizes threats and vulnerabilities. And compliance ensures the enterprise's adherence to laws and regulations. These three concepts are all interconnected. Governance sets the rules, risk management informs decisions, and compliance ensures those decisions meet the legal requirements necessary. Together, they shape how security controls are selected, implemented, and overall evaluated. Finally, there are legal and ethical impacts to consider, as they both influence cybersecurity practices. Laws establish minimum requirements, such as protecting personal data and intellectual property. Ethics go beyond legal compliance and focus on doing what is right, such as protecting user data, preventing the misuse of that data, and ensuring transparency. Organizations must implement controls like encryption, access management, and monitoring to meet both legal and ethical expectations. Failure to do so can result in legal penalties, financial loss, and reputational damage. This highlights the importance of integrating legal, ethical, and technical considerations into security design. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you so very much for watching.